So this is the MX800 base station repeater. What we're going to do is today show you the programming, how to program it, and go from there, so on. But one thing I will show you in a moment, in the last video I was mentioning about the power lead. It's a 3-pin plug prong configuration where it just plugs in on the back of the unit. So what actually happened is I went to try to order a Yaesu power lead, Yaesu FT450D or FT991A. They got the same power lead, same plug on the configuration. What I was going to do is chop the end off it and wire the 3-pin plug configuration on the back of it. But what actually happened is when I go ordered the leads at the time, the power lead, the Yaesu power lead, they were out of stock. So I thought, well, I'll just go down to a local electrical shop, or you can go to J Cars or whatever, and just buy a 12, I think it's, memory serves me right, 12 gauge wire. It's fairly thick and hold up to 20 or 25 amps, memory serves me right. But yeah, it's thick, but it's not overly that thick. But it's decent gauge wire, beefy wire, but it all fits in there nicely. So the repeater is off at the moment, but we will plug it in very shortly. But what we'll do is we'll come across over to here. Now, this is another MX800 base station repeater. This is a Motorola version, so it's still a Spectra engineering MX800, but Motorola decided a little while back ago, decided to take these particular units and just rebrand them and call them Motorola the MXD1500, but all this is just the MX800 Spectrum Engineering. I already opened this one up. This one here has got a fault in it at the moment. So this particular unit's got a fault in it. It's not receiving signal and it's not transmitting signal. So I'll have to open this one up and have a look at it and find out what the problem is and repair it, sort of thing. But this one here's definitely got a fault with it. But anyway, we won't talk about that. We won't get into that. We'll get into the power lead. So this is the power lead here I made up. As you can see, it's got an antacid. We get a bit closer, focus that in. An antacid plug on it, so it just plugs in the power supply I got here. And this is fuse rated to 15 amps. So there's a plus and a minus on both sides, fuse protected, and just a bead ferret on the end of it, and that's the plug there. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to pause the video. And now we're going to plug this one into this one, and then we're going to kick it off from there, and then we're going to get into all the software side of programming it and so on. So that's the power supply down there. I'm running at the moment, and that's the answer plug there. Plugs into it, but anyway. So we just gone ahead and reconnected that up. So I'll just play around with this. Well, it's just not working. There we go. Anyway, I got shit everywhere, overcrowded on this bench at the moment, so I've got to sort that out. I'm trying to look at the camera and do everything at the same time. So anyway, that's plugged in, the repeater's going into a dummy load, and yeah, we'll start programming it going from here now. So when you open up the program, the MX tools, I'll just put that to the side. So as you load it up, just get out of here on MX tools. So it looks like when it's loading up. Now what you want to do is just go up here, channel info up the top, yeah, channel info, and then what you want to do is read radio. So now it's read the radio. We'll click on here, and then what it'll do is it'll bring up this tab here. We'll just sort something out here. So I had to play around with the camera settings on the phone before. The flash was on, it was overexposing the screen on the computer, so it's a little bit blurry, it's not the best, but we'll get back into it. So this particular repeater is set to full power, so maximum full power. The advertised is 50 watts. Like I said before, this one's actually making, once it's fully functional and the unit's warmed up, it's making a peak of 54 to 55 watts. So that's pretty impressive. So it's 5 watts over what's actually advertised, but that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But mind you, this repeater is fairly new. So I wouldn't say brand new, but it's like brand new sort of thing. It's had bug all use. It's probably been used for about an hour or maybe 2. And when I bought this particular repeater, it was a new old stock item. As you can see, the case there. So it's been sitting around for some years now, and I come across it, purchased it, and yeah. So all this repeater is just a spare repeater, a spare backup repeater for one of the other repeaters I got. But I got a bit of time now, so I can demonstrate all the workings of the software. So that there's your high and low power. So you can bring it down here. We'll go on here, unlock this. Oop. Now I'm trying to hold this a bit hard. There we go. Alright, so if we go in closer here, that's your TX sub level. So you can adjust your sub level between 0 to 6. I got set at 5. That's your specs there. It gives you an automatic calculation on the bottom. This is your step size, kilohertz, transmit side 12.5 kilohertz, 12.5 here on the receive side. You got your mod, so you can set that to 5 or 8, depending what sort of specific, how I'll explain this, what's your application, that's the word I was looking for. So whatever your application is, you set that for how you want it. So this here is simplex, so that means with this particular radio here, it's got a mic jack on the front of it, so you can set this for simplex mode, so it's no longer a repeat, it's just a radio. Or you can set this for duplex. Duplex is if you got an external repeater controller, plugs on the back of the serial ports on the back of the radio, so the repeater can, just say if you got a like an SCOM or an RCOM repeater controller, you'll set that to that. The repeater controller does all the work, and the repeater just does all the transmitting side from there onwards. So you with the external repeater controllers, voice announcement, time announcement, DTMF, directions and working it from there, sort of thing, and so on. But at the moment we just got this set here for analog repeater, so this is just the repeater itself in repeater mode, and then there's no external controller hooked up to it. Alright, so what we've got here is, as you can see, wideband and narrow band. Now when you set to wideband, even though at the top it says 12.5, this is all your audio levels and functions and so on. So if depend once again what your application is, what you want to set it, you know, you can set to narrow band if preferred, or wideband. But this particular repeater I got here, I got set on wideband. And when you set it on wideband, there's all the automatic levels there, already pre-matically already sets them, so that's it there. But if I change that to wideband, narrow band, now watch what happens when I do the conversion. See, it already automatically alters the settings. Now if I go back to wideband, it already changes that. So I also want to keep that on wideband. I'm happy with that. So you know, you might play around with it yourself to your own specific settings for how you want to set up your own repeater, but that's how I got it set. So mainly this all in here, it's mainly we'll find in here. Up here you got we can get that up there, we go. TX subtone, so what that is your CTCS, I can't remember if I pronounced that correctly. But anyway, you know, you get the drift of the concept. You can see all here, all different categories you can select down for your subtone. And all this does is just puts a tone on it, so no one else can hear the repeater, or you know, if you don't want anyone else hearing the repeater, you can just set the levels on it. But that's on same sides, transmit subtone and receive subtone, so you can have both on each side. So that's the CTCSS. And then on the bottom here, as we got here for the digital decoding, is a DCS. Same on both sides. But anyway, so once you made your changes, make sure you apply it. Go OK, and make sure you write that to the radio. But just say we won't write that to the radio right now. So just say we want to go into the configuration. Alright, so this is the configuration of the repeater, and all your different settings here. Now this is going to be very hard to hold the camera and do it at the same time, so I'll give it a crack. P25, that's all grayed out because this is not a P25 machine, this is a analog machine. Hardware settings, and now you get the drift, so on. But when you're setting this is another thing too. If you're setting your Morse code, words per minute, what you want to do is set that to 25 or 30. I'll show you here. And all that does, it just does the beeps, so you can have it, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. That's the you know, the variance of a very slow Morse code beep, or very fast Morse code beep. But I got that set to 25. Automatic ID interval seconds, I got that set to 15 minutes. So every 15 minutes that goes off, and your Morse code message is here up the top here. You just put your Morse code message up here. I just done this here temporarily for demonstration. I just put 24/7, 24/7/11, so 24 hours, 7 days a week, but 24/7. Mate, you can put anything there you want. But yeah, so you can get it back down here now. So this is your ID TX. So what this means is ID on transmit. So when you key up the radio, and if the radio is sitting in limbo and it hears a signal coming through, you'll key up according to every 15 minutes when the repeat gets activated. So it'll broadcast the Morse code beep over there. This one here is automatic ID regardlessly, so they'll do it regardlessly 15 minutes. And this one here is automatic intervals. I can't see that properly. Yeah, you can set it up on that one, and you can just play around from there onwards. But where are we going? Okay, here we go. Morse enable, so that's the Morse ID. So make sure, if you set all this up, make sure you set Morse enable, so they'll enable it to every 15 minutes. If you press disable, or that disables all this here sort of thing. There's all your settings there. We can get this camera to focus better. There we go. So yes, anyway, that's that there. Gives you a rough idea. Alright, so this is software settings, and this is, you can alter all this here. So I'm not going to explain all of it. You can, if you can see it, you can read it, you have a look for yourself. You can change multiple settings here, custom settings for how you want it. PTT hang time options, just here on the left, if we can get this camera to focus. And all the rest of it, so on. Anyway, we'll get out of that. So once you made whatever changes you wanted to do, make sure you always write it. So once you get out of there, so we'll go back in here. So that's configurations. Now you can alter all these settings depending on what you're doing. This is just mainly all your low and high, high and low, sorry. So you can alter some settings there. You can always go software PTT, key up the radio just to test a few things. We'll go to this up top. Network, we won't be using any of that. So you go to connect. I'll just mainly bring up all the specs of the repeater here. So this particular unit, like I said before, 455, 490, and it's transmit and receive, as you can see. That's the repeater activated now, doing its Morse code thing. And that at the moment, 50 watts. So yeah, when these particular base stations, when they're getting used a fair bit, or someone's on there, it's got a lot of heavy traffic on there, they do fluctuate a little bit between 51 to 55 watts. But if it's in idle mode and there's not much traffic on the airways, it's around about 50 watts, and then it increases up to 55 watts. But the maximum I've seen on this thing so far is 55 watts. But anyway, we won't worry about that. We'll get back into this. So we'll get out of there. Now, your help, as you know, this specifies all the information, you know, what you're trying to achieve out of the radio, for certain things you're not sure on, so you just go through them all. Gives you a rundown. Anyway, you get a rough concept of that, so we'll get out of that. And we'll go back to here. And what this does on the bottom here, so this tells you all your specs, power supply voltage, so that's the voltage coming in, 13.7. Ford's power, so that's the RF power coming out of the machine. PA temperature, so that's your amplifier temperature, your RF amplifier. That there's the signal, incoming signal coming in. When there's a station coming in, keying up the repeater. And yeah, that's all you specs there. What we'll do is we'll give it a quick key up. As you can see, signal coming in. And it's SI is minus 65 dBm. Temperature there, 37.2. So what I want to clarify is, when you key up and it says 150, that's referring, I think memory serves me right, that refers to the setting you have programmed the power level for. So it's not actually 100, that's not actually 150 watts, because as you can see for here, radio's keyed up, that's making 54. Sometimes it fluctuates between 55. We'll keep it keyed up a little bit longer. There we go. That's 55 watts going into a dummy load, or D key. There we go, get that to focus a bit better. We'll go back in here. You can exit that if you don't want to see that bar. Drop that out. And once you do all the changes, you're happy with that, let's go through it. Yep. Wideband, that's set for that. Yep, whatever changes you make sure you apply it. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we'll write to radio. So we'll write that. It's going to give you a quick warning here, blah blah blah. Wait, just go okay. And it's already read the radio. It's already writing to the radio, I should say. So you'll see this bar quickly fill up to the top there. It's just a quick transaction, and both, it's already, the radio's written. If we go read radio, same thing happens. And if we go write, just like that, just as quick, just like that. So this radio is programmed and ready to go. So what we'll do is jump away back from here. Now I got this set to a CB band, channel 47. This, like I said, this is a demonstrated video. It's going into a dummy load, so it'd be very surprising the signal be at least making 2 maybe 3 meters from outside. But anyway, it all comes down on the equipment you got. If you got a really good dummy load, sometimes the signal, you know, you'd be lucky to get a meter, maybe meter and a half, but sometimes it does vary depending on the brand, the equipment you got, what sort of equipment you got. And anyway, but it doesn't matter, it's in a dummy load. So what we'll do is we'll key it up on this anti-tone handheld. And we'll come to the repeater side. You can see the lights light up. Test, test, 1 2 1 2. Test, test, 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Now with this particular radio, because this one is a full option radio, it's not a base model. With the base model, I can quickly come across to this one here and I'll show you what's the difference between the base model. So that's a base model there, and as you can see, it's just a front panel, a flat panel. There's no DB9 front connector on it. There's no local speaker on it. There's no volume switch there for the speaker. There's no RJ45 connector plug for the mic accessory, and there's no indicating lights here on the side of it. So this is what you call literally a base model repeater. So you can still buy these ones. I'm not too sure Motorola still does distribute these base model units, but these particular one, or this one here, is a Motorola, and as you can see, it's MX800, but this is made by Spectra engineering. All the components inside of it and all electronics, it's all Spectrum engineering. So that's the only difference. The only difference is Motorola just put their name on it and put them back on the market, and virtually resell them with a different name on them. But that's all it was. But that's a base model there, MX800, and we go across from this one here. And this one's a fully optioned up base station MX800. The only thing it didn't have, it was obsolete, is the little screen here for the channel, but you don't need that anyway. That just indicates what channel it's on. That corresponds with this here, with your sheet on the frequencies here on the page here. So 1 2 3 4, but however you ever program that, they'll show on the front here indicating that, but you don't really need that anyway. So yeah, speaker, volume, DB9 connector, so it's a RS232, so mic, I think memory says it right, it's RJ45. You compare this one, the full option one, to the base model. As you can see, there's a big difference, chalk and cheese, between the POV pack version, the poverty version, base model, to the full option version. I recommend if anyone's buying these base stations brand new, you can still buy them from Spectrum Engineering. As is present time, as I'm doing this video, you can still buy them brand new. But if you're going to buy one of these, make sure you get all the full options on it, because it's always good to have a repeater. It's got all the full options on it, you know. It's got the display lights, It's always good to have on a repeater a mic there, microphone, just in case you need to test a few things, or if you're up on the site, a few radio checks from the radio itself. DB9 connector, that's a must-have with this particular unit. Make sure you always get one on the front. This one's got two, so it's got one on the rear and one on the front, but this makes it more easier and more convenient when you program the repeater unit if you need to make changes. Volume's always good to have, you know, so it's when I buy a repeater, I make sure it's got mostly all the options on it. So whatever options you can order with, order the repeater with, just tick them off. You might pay a little bit extra depending, you know, on the company or depending what it is you're purchasing, but hey, end of the day, it's worth it. So don't be stingy. Fill the repeater up with many options on it, and that way it won't be a base model like you see that one there. That's a base model, and I refer to that as a POV pack or poverty pack version. So it's just a basic repeater and that's it. Anyway, so that's a rough video of it all. That's a quick demonstration. I can sit here and go, there you go. Now some of that Morse code is coming from the local speaker here. If I turn all this down, you can, actually I'll turn that off, and you'll actually hear what it sounds like from the repeater itself. Test, test. Test, test, 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So that's the sound of the repeater itself, the inbuilt speaker. So it's got a slight echo, a little bit of bassiness to it, but it doesn't sound too bad. It's more echoey, but you know, it is what it is end of the day. But for what it is, it's pretty damn good. So that's the video there, and I'm going to wrap this video up now, and this is part 4 of the programming of the repeater, showing all the ins and outs, and we mostly covered all the repeater itself. So anyway, that's the video there. And yes, it's very interesting, cool bit of gear there. But yeah, anyway, alright, well, that's it. This is part 4 of the video, so thanks for watching.